conversation with Varun Berry, the Managing Director of Britannia, who many credit as the turnaround agent as far as his company is concerned. So thank you so much for talking to ET now. Before I move to your overall vision for the company, I just want to touch upon the recently concluded results. If you can just take us through your performance, top line, bottom line, and also the key drivers behind these numbers.
So sure, Chandra. So we've had a good quarter. We grew 12% revenue, and all of the revenue growth came from volume. So we are delighted with a double-digit volume growth. Our operating profit grew 56%, and our net profit, if you take out the one-time gain that we had last year, which was of a property that we sold in Chennai, the net profit grew 48%. So this has been the 11th quarter for us of double-digit revenue growth and also very high double-digit profit growth. So we are delighted with the results and looking forward to the balance part of the year.
Right. You've also spoken about profit getting hit by excise duty benefits getting phased out. Take us through that, and is this also likely to be recurrent in the coming quarters as well? Some color on.
No, so this is absolutely misreported. There is no profit hit because of any excise duties. In fact, what I had stated in my statement, which was issued to the press, was that our revenues would have been 13% instead of 12% if our excise benefits in Uttaranchal, which is our plant in the north, hadn't gone off. So there's a 100 basis point downside on revenue growths because of the excise benefit that has gone away. But there's been no difference in the profits.
Right.
Yeah.
In your management commentary, sir, you spoke about how inroads into states in the north has really helped you with respect to revenues. Tell us a little about that, because that's really part of your overall strategy, isn't it? To penetrate more into the tier 2, tier 3 cities. So is that going to be a theme in the coming quarters as well? The volume growth that you're going to see in these regions, is that going to become a key factor for Britannia?
For sure. So if I was to analyze the biscuit market, the biscuit market, 46% of the biscuit market is in the value segment.
Right.
And 54% is the rest. We only have a single-digit share in the value segment. And if you think about it, the value segment is the strongest in the Hindi-speaking belts of the north. So it is very imperative for us to gain ground in the Hindi-speaking belt, the states that you were talking about. And we are not looking at a very different strategy which is going to change the profit trajectory of the company. We are looking at profitable growth. We are looking at building distribution. So about 1.5 years back, we decided that as a company, we will build a sustainable distribution model in these Hindi-speaking states. And today we feel comfortable that we have a pretty strong distribution network. It might not be as strong as Parle, because Parle has been there forever and they are very, very strong. Yeah. But we are in a position to now take our value portfolio forward. So we are looking at relaunching Tiger, and Tiger will have 3 components, the glucose, value cookies and value creams. We've already relaunched glucose and value cookies. We are looking at relaunching creams next month. So with this composite Tiger portfolio, we hope that we will be able to, make our presence felt in the value segment as well.
Right. You mentioned how the value segment comprises almost, 46% of the market, and now your share in that is less than single digit. Yeah. So is there a target that you have in, say, 2-3 years, since you're making all these investments in the Hindi heartland, on, where you want to take this up?
So I would be delighted if we get between 15 to 20% share of this segment. And this is going to be through sheer hard work. So it's all going to be through distribution. It's not going to be through pricing. It's not going to be through discounting. It's going to be hard work, getting our distribution, putting our product in outlets where biscuits sell. and bridging the gap with Parle as far as distribution reach is concerned.
Talk to us a little about the distribution gap that you've been addressing. Parle really has a very strong hold there. But what have you really been doing to get members of the trade on your side? Because you've already said that you're not going to compete on the price front, but it's going to be a distribution game. So what have you done differently to really get things on your side as far as the distribution game is concerned?
So as far as distribution is concerned, we are looking at a two-pronged strategy. One is the urban, part of, the states, the Hindi-speaking states. There, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have our SKUs available in all outlets. So we are looking at depth. We're looking at depth of distribution in the urban outlets. In the rural belt, where we are very, very weak, by the way, in the Hindi-speaking states, we are appointing rural distributors so that we can get reach. So it's depth as far as urban outlets are concerned and width as far as the rural outlets are concerned. Just to tell you the gap, in the Hindi-speaking belts themselves, we have a gap of almost 3 million outlets versus Parle. So we are 3 million outlets behind Parle. So think about it. If we were to bridge that gap, where we could be in this game.
Talking about consumption itself, this quarter, most of the FMCG companies have spoken about how demand has been pretty soft. Take us through the patterns that you are seeing both in urban areas as well as rural areas in terms of consumption patterns and the demand trends that you have seen.
So the demand trends, as you rightfully said, have been pretty soft. And I've been saying every quarter that it's a matter of 6 months, but we haven't reached that point where demand has started to take off. But I'm still very hopeful. I do think that things are going to turn, and when they turn, consumption patterns are going to change dramatically. Today it seems to be a single-digit growth. It still is growth. For most categories, there's growth, but it's only low single digits. I do think that once the mood changes, once there's more optimism in the consumer's mind, once things start to turn for the country, there is certainly going to be a consumption change in the country as well. And we are hoping for that turn. One
more factor that has helped you is, of course, low inflation, the low commodity prices, which has helped you on the margin front. But does this also give you ammunition to really go after growth in terms of discounts or in terms of special offers? Does that give you the ammunition that you require to really chase growth in this market?
Yes, it certainly does. So if you look at it, your commodity prices being benign has helped us by about 250 basis points. That's the impact that the benign commodity prices have on our P&L. Now the options are that we spend a lot of money on advertising and sales promotions. We have decided not to take that route. We are increasing our advertising and sales promotion budgets, but we are not taking it completely out of whack, because it has to be a sustainable way of spending behind brands. What we are doing at this point in time is investing for the future. So we've invested almost 600 crores in creating factories, in creating an R&D center for ourselves. We are doing infrastructure so that this holds us in good stead when the change in the economy happens and when the consumption moves in the right direction.
Right. And even without benign commodity prices, is there scope for margin expansion going forward? You've done a lot to really arrest, the fixed cost component of the company. But going forward as well, what belt tightening measures can we expect? Is there still scope for margin expansion, even without the benefit that you gain from benign commodity prices?
There always is. There always is potential. There are lots of areas that we can work on. So from a demand generation standpoint, we've got cake and rusk business. Obviously, we've got biscuits is a long way off, as I was telling you. The value segment, the premium end, etc., etc. We're going to push hard to make sure that we grow the biscuit pie. But cake and rusk is are categories that we dominate. We're going to grow those as well to make sure that they become a meaningful part of our portfolio. Dairy is, another part of our portfolio which only adds to about 5% of the total turnover. We are very seriously looking at what should be our next step in dairy. We are putting up a tag team which is going to do a full analysis for us and tell us how we can make this business 5 times what it is today. It's going to take a little bit of time. We thought that we'll be able to do it pretty quickly, but it's taken time, and it'll probably take another 3-4 months for us to get to a final conclusion on where we are headed. But that's another area which we are looking at. Then the entire adjacency area, all the categories that sit next to the categories that we operate in, we are evaluating them very carefully and seeing how we can, participate in those categories. The entire international business, again, growing very rapidly for us. But again, as they say, world is our playground. We operate in 75 countries, but we've got a lot more countries to go to and get depth in some of the countries. We have a manufacturing operation in the Middle East, but we could evaluate what are the next countries for us to start to build our business. So there's a lot that we have to do. And we are looking forward to that as far as demand generation is concerned. Coming to tightening our belt on costs, the journey has just begun. Obviously we've made sure that our P&L reflects a tightness in everything that we do. Energy is a very big part of what we consume. It's only the tip of the iceberg that we've looked at this point in time. There's a lot that we can do. We operate, at least we've got 56 plants across the country. If we start to do what we've done in the bigger plants, in other plants as well, there'll be a lot of savings coming our way. Waste reduction is a big agenda for us. Market returns, making sure that we just don't have any waste in our factories. Again, all we've done is scratch the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of way that we can go forward. So we are looking forward to that. We are building scale plants. Now we're building very large plants. The latest one is in Patanjali in your hometown.
Right.
Yeah, so it's in Patanjali. Actually, I'd like to meet you there, next quarter probably. It's really a state-of-the-art plant, and we've got everything going. We've got all efficiencies, all the right equipment. We've got a new plant coming up in Bangalore. We've got an R&D center coming up in Bangalore as well. So there's a lot on our plate, and we are really looking forward. And we are a company of dreamers. Now my team is a team of dreamers. So we dream up what we can do and how high we can go,
Right.
and then we fulfill our dreams.
I'm
So
going to
that-
come to each of the categories that you mentioned, but before that,
Yeah.
The 5 focus brands approach that you articulated, is that going to continue, or anything that you would want to tweak there?
No, so that's working very well for us because it's giving us more money to spend on each brand. And it's obviously, we've consolidated a few. I told you about
Right.
Tiger.
Right.
So the value portfolio was under 2 or 3 different brands earlier. Now we've consolidated it under Tiger. Some of the new launches, as you've seen, Chunkies, we've launched under Good Day. Pure Magic used to be a brand for us. The Chocolush product is under Pure Magic. Heavens, which is a new cookie, we've launched under NutriChoice. So we are making sure that we consolidate each one of these big brands, and we continue to make them grow and spend more money behind these brands as we go forward.
Dairy, you mentioned that you have a tag team really looking at the opportunity, but take us through the opportunity itself, because recently you had Prabhat Dairy listing on the public markets, and they are talking about setting up a mozzarella cheese factory in India. So what sort of changes are we seeing here? Does dairy have the potential to be as significant a contributor for you, as biscuits going forward? Are we seeing consumption patterns really changing, which is making you more optimistic when it comes to value-added products in the dairy segment?
So first of all, dairy is the largest category in India. If you look at packaged dairy, it's about 82,000 crores, right? Very large category. A bulk of it is packaged milk, which is not value added. But even if you were to look at the top end of the value added products in dairy, they would still be over 10,000 crores, right? So, so it's an established fact that dairy is a habit. Consumers in India consume various dairy products during the day. It's a habit. They're looking for change. Earlier they used to have curd at home. Today they are buying curd and yogurts from the market and consuming them. So it's about creating the market, participating in the current categories and creating other categories which can become large enough in this dairy segment, right? So I do think that first of all, it's very important for us to enter categories which are established, and this is truly established category, right? Now the second part of it is that it's a very difficult business. We've got a 400 crore business, but we do not process it, we do not collect milk. We've got a third party who does it for us. Schreiber is the company which does it for us. They've done a great job, they're very good partners. But if we want to take this forward and if we want to create a 2,500 crore business out of dairy, then we'll have to look at having and owning end-to-end from milk procurement to selling of dairy products. And that's what we are in the process of evaluating it.
So will you firm this up in the next couple of quarters or so?
Absolutely.
Before the next financial year?
Absolutely. In the next 6 months, we should be ready with,
a game plan.
Absolutely.
For dairy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And also with respect to your vision for Britannia, which is, to make it a foods company, you're talking about category adjacencies, basically push offerings from side of the plate to center of the plate.
Yeah.
Now, the scope for that is huge. So tell us about the categories that you want to attack, because center of the plate can mean many things. So tell us the potential that you see here and, what we can expect from Britannia.
Yeah, so, if you look at adjacent categories, if you were to look at, macro snacking, let's say. In macro snacking, the largest category is biscuits, but you've got other large categories as well, right? So you've got salty snacks, which is a very large category. It's almost 14,000 crores. It's 50% of what biscuits are, but still very large. You've got chocolates, which is about 8,000 crores. You've got breakfast, which is small, but if you were to look at unorganized breakfast, which is cooked at home, it's huge, right? So there are lots of these categories which are sitting adjacent to what we operate in. Now, can we get into these categories and fight a Mondelez or fight a Lay's?
Or even fight a Pepsi.
Or that's Lay's is PepsiCo, right? I don't think we would like to do that because I think we would like to enter these categories with products which are which are in our area, our domain, right? Which fall in the kind of products that we sell, but can source business from the adjacencies. I can't tell you more than that.
Considering you forayed into the breakfast segment with Healthy Start a few years back and then it was done away with, is that still a segment that you will look at re-entering, and in what form?
I do think it's a very attractive segment. Breakfast in India is a very attractive segment, although the housewife today would like to cook it for the husband or the children, right? But it's a matter of time. The double income families, both husband and wife working. So how do we get that convenience for the housewife to be able to add value to what she does, but provide her with the right ingredients to do it quickly, provide the convenience. So that certainly is an attractive segment. The last time when we did it, I think it was a logistical mistake. We would import oats from Australia. They would enter the country in Chennai. We would transport them all the way to Punjab. We would pack them in Punjab, and the demand center was again the south. They would come all the way to Tamil Nadu and Kerala to sell. So it was a logistical challenge. I don't think there was anything fundamentally wrong with the strategy. And the first time when you get into something, you you tend to go wrong at times. We will make sure that we do it right if we decide that that is the right segment for us.
Sure.
Yeah.
Coming to the final set of questions, what sort of competition do you anticipate from players like Patanjali, which recently tied up with Future Group, and their strategy is different altogether. They are pegging it around healthy biscuits and whole wheat. What sort of competition do you anticipate from players like that?
Well, Patanjali has certainly taken share of voice, I must say, and they've done fantastically well. If you think about it, I didn't know that they were 4,000 crores or thereabouts as a company of FMCG consumer products, right? But they've been in biscuits since 2012. According to what I've seen in the reports that we get, they are reasonably small. They are about 30 crores in biscuits, but they are there in that segment. And you're right, there is some magic about that brand because in certain other segments they become fairly large. So we are not gonna get our eye off them. We will track them. We will see what they are doing. We have a brand called NutriChoice, which is in that healthy area, which is doing really well for us. If we continue to do and we continue to work on our plan, I think we've got a clear right to succeed with that brand.
Right.
Having said that, we will keep our eye on Patanjali and we will continue to monitor their progress. And if it means competing with them and making sure that we do all the right things to keep them to a certain size, we will certainly do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the light of the whole, Nestle Maggi fiasco, what are the lessons for you from all this in terms of, how you deal with the new age consumer, or is it a larger reflection of the safety standards in India, the way the government handled it? What is your takeaway from the whole episode?
Well, first of all, I believe they had a press conference today and they're relaunching today.
Right.
So that's great. I'm happy that they are back in the market. I do think that the entire policy needs to move from policing to self-regulation, and from the recent statements and the recent movement that we are seeing from the government, it does seem to be moving in that direction. It happens in every developed country. That's how it's supposed to be. Every company needs to have the discipline to provide products to the consumers which are of a certain standard. We at Britannia are certainly very, very mindful of that. We make sure that right from the ingredients to the manufacturing process to our distribution system, we do exactly what is right from the consumer standpoint. And I do think if it moves towards self-regulation, the onus and the pressure will be on the operating companies to do even better and to perform even better and to provide even better products as we go forward. I think the government is making the right moves. Unfortunately, Maggi got caught in this, but with this kind of approach and a self-regulatory environment, I do think that the product quality, as well as the government's job of making sure that they monitor and do the right things is going to be
right.
Yeah.
And Britannia promoter Nestle mentioned at the AGM, I think last year, that the market share gap between Parle and Britannia is 3 percentage points, which can be bridged in 3 years. Looking at where you are today, are you on course to bridge that gap or even overtake Parle?
We actually have, according to the research reports that we get. So we are pretty proud of being market leaders, and we hope to carry on with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Varun, if you have to give a 5-year aspirational target in terms of top line for Britannia, what would it be? Say a 2020 target.
20.
20 works. With that, how many billions of dollars are we talking about? You're north of 1 billion, nudging to 2 billion. But if you have to give a 2020 aspirational target, what would that be?
So that'll be, you want me to convert rupees into dollars? No? So I'm talking about 20,000 crores, which would be about $3 billion.
3 billion.
Yeah,
okay.
Over $3 billion.
On that aspirational note, thank you so much for talking to ED.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.